It's that time again when both my neighbors decide to cut their grass. But we're gonna go with that. It's also that time where we're coming into a new month, so let's clear some more clutter. Here are 10 things to declutter in November. Let's go. I can't move my hand because she's... Hello. Yes. Hi guys, it's Laura and I help you live a simpler, happier, more spacious life, and every month I share 10 things that you can declutter to take the guesswork out of what to get rid of. My neighbors are just going crazy with all the grass cutting. But November also has kind of a special meaning for me because every year I run my Say November campaign. The whole idea is to get you to think about something that you can just cut out of your life, something that's not serving you, something that is maybe having a negative impact on your life. I chose November because it's coming into the holiday season. So generally we are adding, that's a time of year when we're adding a lot of stuff. So before that happens, it's good to take a pause and to remove something. Personally, I would like to remove lawnmowers right now, but here we are. With that in mind, the first and the 10th thing on my list are going to be some of those types of considerations, not necessarily kind of physical things that you could declutter, but something that you could think about removing from your life to make things that much easier. Kind of like a little Say November sandwich, if you will. That better. The first of them then is traditions that you no longer want to keep up. This is a time of year when traditions are kind of forefront in your mind. Some people are celebrating Thanksgiving, some people are celebrating Christmas, and with those big holidays generally come those traditions, those things that we do on an annual basis. Problem is that when things become those kind of annual traditions, we tend to do them without even stopping to think whether or not we want to do them, whether they are serving us in some way, whether we're enjoying them, or whether they're just putting added pressure on us. Look ahead to the upcoming holidays. Ask yourself, what are the types of things that you would normally do for those holidays? What are the kind of the foods that you would normally eat? What are the places you would normally go? What are the things that you would normally, like the activities that you would normally engage in? And for each, kind of examine whether or not those are things that you want to keep up. Sometimes with traditions, we think that we're kind of obliged to do them, when in actual fact, we're not. But when you think about some of them, you will notice yourself, you know, when you think about a particular one, you may kind of inwardly cringe, or your heart rate might increase because it just kind of stresses you out a little bit. Maybe you normally host a big dinner and it just adds a lot of stress and anxiety to your life. Go through and kind of evaluate each tradition and see whether or not it's something that you actually want to continue doing. Just because something has been labeled as a tradition in your household doesn't mean that it needs to continue to be. What's serving you and what's just stressing you out. Another thing that can cause a lot of stress this time of year is debt. There is a lot of stuff to buy, there are decorations, there's food to eat, so you may find that you're spending a little bit more money than you would like to. A good time to go through credit cards and kind of loyalty cards, but specifically credit cards, I think, because the more you have, the greater the risk that you will overspend, that you will stretch your budget further than it can actually go. If you have more credit available to you, there's more of a chance that you will spend that, particularly when you're feeling panicked. You know, the closer it gets to a big holiday and you think, oh, I haven't got such and such a gift yet, or I still haven't bought a particular thing, or I should really splash out. The more pressure you start to feel, the more you are likely to panic purchase things. So go through your credit cards and your debit cards and whittle them down to the ones that you really need, the ones that you're actually using, and get rid of the rest. Get rid of all of that temptation, get rid of all of that opportunity to overspend and to put you into debt. But also loyalty cards. Now you might think, what's the harm? You know, those are actually benefiting me because I'm earning points or I'm earning rewards or something. But if they're for stores that you don't really go to, they're just taking up space in your purse. But as well as that, plenty of studies have shown that the reason loyalty cards exist is because people who use them spend more. I used to work in retail. This was like a well-known fact that people who are trying to build up points or trying to get to a certain reward level, they are more inclined to spend more to get those points and to get those rewards. Listen, companies are not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. So go through all of the cards that you keep and get them down to just the bare essentials. Next up then, empty boxes. These just tend to accumulate. I don't know why. We keep them because we might want to return an item. We keep them because we might, you know, repurpose it and use it as a drawer divider or something, or just for some sort of storage. Now, I do keep some boxes because I use them as donation boxes, but I don't need to keep this many. These are big, they're bulky, they take up a lot of space, particularly at a time of year when you're probably going to be getting an influx of more boxes. You'll be ordering more packages and deliveries and things. Before all of that happens, before all of the new boxes come into your life, recycle the old ones. As well as that then, roasting dishes. And I've just realized I have been looking for this. This is like a little storage tub for food leftovers. This is not a roasting dish, so my husband must have accidentally put it in with these. Months I've been looking for that. Didn't know what happened to it. Anyway, again, this is the time of year when you're probably going to be either hosting a big dinner or just eating a big dinner, a big Thanksgiving dinner, a big Christmas dinner, although that's not for another month. We'll be dealing with Christmas stuff next month. But they're big, they're bulky, they take up a lot of space, they're heavy, they're awkward. If you're not using them, get rid of them. But another consideration here then is, how often are you using them? Because you might think, okay, well, I don't use this roasting dish or this big roasting tray or whatever on a regular basis, but I do need to keep it because when Thanksgiving rolls around, I need this big one for the turkey. That's fine. But consider moving it somewhere else. If it is just getting in the way of all of your regularly used dishes and whatever Pyrex stuff, it doesn't need to be there. If you're only using it once or twice a year, consider moving it somewhere else where it's just not, you know, hampering your everyday efforts. And, you know, even just going through them might turn up something that shouldn't be in with the roasting dishes, and you can move that back to where it rightfully belongs. Hello, yes, it's not dinner time. I'm just sitting at the table. Anytime we sit at the table, she thinks it's food time. But the next one on the list then is napkins, placemats, coasters, even tablecloths, things that you would use to kind of dress or decorate your table. Again, because it's coming into that time of year where you're probably having those special dinners or where you may be hosting guests for dinner, it's a good time to go through all of this stuff and make sure that it's still in good condition. But also because this is the time of year when you may be, oh, careful, you may be tempted to break out the kind of seasonal stuff. You know, you may have seasonal tea towels, seasonal napkins. So it's kind of a good reminder to actually investigate whether that stuff is still in good condition, hello again, or whether it might be time to let it go. I find particularly with seasonal stuff, it's generally not good quality. Like, it's really only for fun, it's really only for show. What are you doing? She now thinks if it's not dinner time, it's playtime. Oh look, that's fine if you do want to keep it for a show, but if you're actually using it, is it doing the job that it needs to do? If you do still want that kind of fun seasonal element, but you don't want to resort to the cheap quality that stuff normally is, then consider switching to things that are more themed in terms of colors. So, you know, like oranges, hello, mustardy colors for autumn, and then reds and greens obviously for Christmas. And that way you can still maybe use them all year round. They're still technically seasonal themed, but you will be able to find a much better quality of napkin or tablecloth or whatever. But don't settle for second best just because it's seasonal. This is not playtime. Mama's working. Okay, now that my neighbors have stopped cutting their grass, we can go outside for this next one, and that is any dead leaves that are lying around your home. So if you have a back deck like we do, that tends to collect a lot of dead leaves. Maybe you have a porch, but generally just around the entrances to your homes. Give them a bit of a sweep, give them a bit of a clear out, get rid of all of that dead stuff that's just lying around, and because it's not going to get any better as the season goes on. Give it a quick clean now, and then it is ready to welcome guests if you are having them over for example, a Thanksgiving dinner. Lighting is not amazing for this next one, but outdoor furniture or outdoor toys. These can get really dusty, really grimy. They can get covered in dead insects and all sorts. So do you really need all of that furniture for a start? Maybe you do, that's totally fine, but just examine how many tables you need outside, how many chairs, and again, kids' outdoor toys, if you've got like a sand table or maybe a swing set or something like that, all of those outside things get really, really dusty and get damaged, and you know, particularly from the weather, they can get faded and things like that, or rain, they can get waterlogged. Go through anything that's not in great condition that you don't want to carry into the new season. Let go of that. We'll be keeping this furniture though, because she loves it, and she loves snuggling up here, don't you? She comes out here sometimes and just sits here and will bark in at you because she wants you to come out and sit with her outside. Bit of an attention seeker, aren't you? Always has to put the paw up. Oh, 2 paws. Oh, looky me. Yeah, we definitely need to do some work out here. Let's move inside for this next one. It's a little bit quieter and not quite as glary. This next one is still in keeping with the outdoor theme though, and that is all of your waterproof gear. So boots, wellies, rain jackets, trench coats, umbrellas. If you're Irish, you have multiple of these spread everywhere just in case you need them, which is frequently. But is this stuff actually waterproof? Some of the stuff that I bought over the years claimed to be waterproof until I actually wore it in the rain. Or maybe your boots just have holes in them or have worn down over time, or maybe they're just uncomfortable for whatever reason. If they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, it's time to get rid of those. Or if for some reason you just don't like wearing them, then pass them on to someone else. Waterproof stuff should in fact be waterproof, and it's something that you should wear and should want to wear when required. This next one is another one that's great for this time of year, and that is your music collection. Now this could be a physical collection that you have, you know, vinyl or CDs, you know, if you're really old school like that, or it could be your digital collection of music. Maybe this is the time of year when you break out all of those seasonal albums. Maybe you kind of tend to change your music tastes with the season. So, you know, when it comes into summer, you're listening to more kind of upbeat music, but when it comes into autumn and winter, you're listening to that more kind of like dark, moody stuff. Me, I listen to the same stuff all year round, but it's a good time to go through your music collection and keep the ones that you actually love and want to hear, and then just get rid of all of the ones that you have a tendency to skip. Speaking of that, okay, this is really silly, but do you have a kind of a phrase, like what do you say to a song before you skip it? So is it just me, but when I skip a song, I say, okay, we're done here, and then I skip? Do you have something that you say to a song, or maybe to a TV channel or something, before you move on to the next one? Or have I just made a fool of myself? Probably the latter, it usually is. But if you have a large music collection, you can, you know, go by subcategory. So maybe a particular artist or a particular kind of genre of music or whatever you like, or you could just give yourself 5 minutes and try and declutter as many songs or albums as you can. Yeah, it's time to say goodbye to the skips. Please tell me you do have a phrase though, please. This final one then completes our Say November sandwich. It's something that I have been struggling with recently, and it is to stop ignoring signs that something is wrong, particularly when it comes to your health. So I have been struggling with multiple chronic issues for years now, and it's getting to the stage where you know, some things feel so normal for me now because I'm so used to them that I forget that they're actually not normal. You know, I was at a doctor's appointment recently, and the doctor had asked me, you know, if I had any problems in a particular area, and I said, no, that's not something that, you know, I suffer with. But it was only afterwards, when I got home, that I realized actually yeah, that's not so great for me. It's interesting because I was following, I don't know if you follow Jessica from Pretty Prints and Paper on Instagram, but she kind of mentioned it recently. So she is currently being assessed for ADHD, and she went through, you know, multiple questions and things like that. And she has been put on some medication just to kind of see how it goes. And she shared a story recently where she kind of basically said, is this how normal people feel? And I thought it was so interesting, and I had a conversation with my husband actually afterwards about, you know, how do we know how normal feels? You know, how do each of us know that what we're feeling is the kind of normal way to feel? I think for a lot of us, we have signs that we just ignore, that we think, oh, that's just a one-off, or there's some kind of explanation for that, or, you know, yeah, that is kind of an issue, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a big issue, so I can just continue to ignore it or go about my regular life. Whereas in actual fact, it may be something that requires, you know, further investigation, or maybe something that you don't have to live with. So maybe that could be your thing for this November, for the Say November campaign, the thing that you say no to, and that is ignoring all of those little signs and symptoms that maybe seem insignificant and inconsequential at the time, but you could still do something about them. All I'm saying is to just pay a little bit more attention to how you're feeling, how your body is feeling this month. Be conscious of the difference between, you know, feeling fine with everything going great and you just having become used to something. Because take it from me, I do not want to be used to these things anymore. Now, obviously, that does not have to be the thing that you give up for November. You can choose whatever you want. I would love to hear about it down in the comments. If you want to kind of check out previous November things that I've done, things that I've given up for previous Novembers, I do have a playlist on that if you're looking for some inspiration, or if you want to catch up on this monthly series where I give you 10 things to declutter every month, then I will also have that one linked. Happy November, and until next time, go raibh míle maith agaibh. Agus bheith mé sibh glua. Slán.
I'm done now, yes. You stop giving me the sad eyes.